We were talking about if somebody's denying their talent, are they a detriment to society?
Yeah, I feel as though I do feel as though people should get paid off of what they're good at.
Yeah.
I do feel as though people should use what they can do well and use it to benefit society in the best way. Like it's right now, I mean, to watch LeBron James play basketball is it's a privilege. That's why people pay so much money to do it. To watch this guy, do it. I remember when we were in high school, like there was this guy who ran a middle school. Like he got the middle school record for track for us, in middle school. And like I was like, yeah, this dude is like really fast, just like for like no reason. He was just like super, he's like just super fast. So I'm like, this dude should run track for us, like through high school. We'll win. We'll be state champions. Like why is he not running? Like, he just for some reason didn't want to run. Like he just didn't want to run. So like we get there, like my freshman year, he's not running. Like he was like 1 year above us. My sophomore year, he's not running, and we do good, but
You can do better.
we can do better. And then finally, like my junior year, he runs, and he becomes state champion in the 100 meter. And he hasn't been training, he hasn't been doing anything.
He was just fast.
Yeah, he was just fast. And if he had happened to, had been honing that talent, I mean, who knows,
where it could be.
Yeah, where it could have been. And it's just like, I feel like you're kind of doing a detriment to yourself.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you were working on it, working towards it, it would be a lot better.
I mean, it was really funny that you said that because we had a guy the same way that he didn't run in high school, but he was like he was the fastest dude in middle school, and I mean he could outrun a lot of high schoolers, but it ended up coming out. I mean he was gay, and he just didn't feel like he had a lot of issues. He had a lot of issues with himself, but anyway, it was just. I mean, when you deny yourself stuff like that, it does I feel like hurt you. But I just have a hard time because, or I guess here's another question I'll pose to you is should people focus more on being well-rounded or focusing just on what they're good at? Because I have that problem a lot is I know what I'm good at, but I like to be well-rounded. One of the reasons why I changed my majors and everything, and I have this like crazy trifecta of a degree that any employer, exactly. Any employer is always like, why did you do this, this, and this? It's like, well, I want to be well-rounded. I want to be well-educated.
I enjoyed it.
I did, and I enjoyed the learning, but I also feel like it didn't prepare me to do one specific thing that I am good at. You know what I mean?
Well, being well-rounded is awesome. We should all strive to be, well-rounded, to not, necessarily be in a box, not necessarily to be a savant. We don't want to be stuck in one area. However, you can be a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Right.
And when you're,
but is that good?
In some respects, it is.
I like the Renaissance man.
In some respects, it is. And in many respects, it is because you can become helpful in a lot of different situations. But is that, in essence, what sets you apart, or are you set apart by your extraordinary talent in one area?
Right.
I feel as though you're distinguished based on your extraordinary talent. Like me, like this guy. Like if I look at myself, like I can, like even when I take tests and whatever, like I can write pretty well. I can read well and everything. But when it comes to math,
You excel.
I'm excellent.
Right.
So it's like, I could say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to continue my math studies, and I'm going to just focus on being well-rounded. But if I've already shown the aptitude in that area and already led the state and got all kinds of accolades in middle school and elementary school and everything like that, why would I not continue on the path of excellence as opposed to mediocrity across the board,
right,
or above average across the board,
right, and I think that's where a lot of people struggle, is that they don't focus on. And there's a guy, I can't remember his name, but he's that little short guy that yells a lot and he cusses a lot, but he's like a motivational speaker, and he's like, y'all should do this, and y'all don't know what I'm talking about. I'll look it up in a second.
I was about to say Stephen A. Smith.
Stephen A. Smith is not short.
Oh.
He acts like he's short, he acts like he's playing competition. He's like 6'5".
What? Stephen A. Smith is 6'5".
Look it up. He seems like a short guy. The way he talks, he seems short. I saw a picture of him.
Like a statueless guy.
He does look like a statueless
guy. I hate to say it like that.
Dude is tall as hell.
statulus.
Well, but anyway, he always says, people need to stop trying to be good at what the school system's telling them and all this stuff, and you need to find what you're good at, and you need to strive to do that and to do it with everything that you have and become really good at that, and that is how you can succeed. But then my thing is, if we do implement this thing that we're talking about, we take some cues from the Amish community and we band together and we say, okay, yes, I'm going to help you build your house, you're going to help me build my house, it takes a village to raise children, like we're going to do all this together, it's going to be a society. Is it better to have those that excel in one area or to have everybody that's well-rounded? I guess that would be my question. I'm looking up how tall Steven is.
Well, and I think it's funny because like even with people being and people should be well rounded. But like you said, like if somebody
He's 6'1".
6'1",
Yeah,
He's
still.
still tall.
Oh,
He's
he's still he's taller than
But he's 6'1" and everybody else is like 6'8" on the program.
Yeah.
No, anyway, sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, if you're working on a lot of different things, you're going to grow in some you're going to be a little better, than others. You're going to need more work in some areas, et cetera, et cetera. But you're never going to be able to compete with someone who's a natural.
Right.
You're never going to be on the level of someone who's a natural at it. Like, I mean, you're going to be somebody could be lock themselves in solitary confinement and read 3,000 math books all day, but their recall, like their cognitive ability to,
It's just how your brain's wired.
it's just not going to be there. Like me in 8th grade with Michael Floyd, and it's like cocky, but like I know that, like I know like the level I was like mentally then. It's like it's different. It's just different when you can do that. Like you got guys that come out like a LeBron or something. I mean, he could have probably picked up a basketball when he was like, maybe 3. So he could have picked it up at like 25 and for the first time ever, and been better than people who've been playing for all their life.
Right. He wouldn't be as good as he is now, but he would definitely be. And I think that's one of the biggest issues and I mean, we're getting way off topic now, but that the education system doesn't allow for people to figure, I'm talking about primary, so, middle school, high school, things like that. Because if you really think about it, between 13 to 18, those are the years that you really, really, really should pursue your passion. Because those are the years when majoritively of people, unless you have a tough childhood and things like that, that you don't have any worries as far as financially and things like that. And that would be the closest, that area in time would be the closest that we would ever get to having something that as an adult would be the universal basic income. So where we know our needs are going to be met, so we can focus all of our time on pursuing something that we're passionate about and that we're good at. And if I could go back to my 13-year-old self and I could tell myself, look, stop trying to play all these sports and stop trying to do all this stuff and focus on this, I think I would be better off in the long run. But I don't think that our school system perpetuates that. I don't think our school system allows for that, and I don't think that anybody's really telling our kids that.
Honestly, I feel like instead of us reading every book that Shakespeare has ever written, throughout high school, you can take some of that time out and then let people do some vocational exploration or in the field work to kind of test the waters and see, what they want to do. Because I mean, with us reading all these, you're reading all these books. If you're already reading at the level you're supposed to be reading, and you read for leisure anyway, you're not. I'm not benefiting from this. I'm not benefiting from us talking about the Odyssey. This is not helping me.
Right. The thing is, you can read the Odyssey 10 years out of high school and still get the same out of it as if you read it in high school.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with that. That a lot of the schooling is not practical. The school isn't practical, and that's the biggest. They sure you learn things, but I mean, what did I learn reading the Scarlet Letter that I can apply to my life?
Nothing.
Like it's just like, oh well, maybe if I see someone walking around with a big A on their chest, I'd be like, oh, I know what you did.
Right. And the thing is, I mean, you want to know about literary. I guess history and things like that, but it's really.
But you relearn it in college if that's what you want to do, right? You know what I mean?
That and a simple Google search will give you everything that you need. You take 6 weeks out of school. And my wife's an English teacher, and that's the other thing is that a lot of these kids don't want to be at school, you know. And we could take them at 16 years old, and we could say, look, okay, you don't like reading, you don't like math, you don't like this, that, and the other. What are you good at? Oh, well, I'm really good with my hands. I'm really good with cars. All right, cool. Well, and my school actually had this, and it was a CAD program, and they would go out, and I actually took my truck there multiple times, and they would like change my oil, and they would check, like do all this stuff, and it would teach people valuable skills. So when they graduated high school, they knew they didn't want to go to college. They would either go to a tech school, or they would just go and start working as a mechanic. Why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we bettering society that way? Because education is important, but I feel like we're pushing the wrong kind of education upon people.
I think it's because of where the value is placed. People feel insufficient. They feel inadequate if they don't have the college degree, because the college degree is what's given the prestige. Like people are saying, hey, you know what? You gotta go to college. So so many kids like, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna go to college.
The college is given to people that can take out student loans and drink a lot of beer.
Yeah. What are you gonna study? I don't know.
Exactly.
You know, where are you gonna go? I mean, I guess I'm gonna go here. Like any kid like that, to me, I say don't go.
No.
Don't go until you know.
Yeah.
If you're questioning it and you don't know what you want to major in, you don't know why you want to go, don't go. Don't go.
Because you're wasting money.
You're wasting money.
And the thing is, there's multiple different things that you can do. You can go to a trade school.
Yep.
And that trade school will allow you to do something and make money and benefit society until you figure out what you want to do, what you're passionate about. Or you go to a junior college and I mean, honestly, I would say what you're doing right now, and I mean, you already went and graduated from A&M and stuff, but what you're doing right now, which is you're making money, doing your own business, you're living at home, you're living at home, and you're able to save money that way. And then say if you did do this when you were 18 and you just went to Lee on Tuesdays and Thursdays and got your basics out of the way, and then you had 2 years to figure out what you want to do, then you could have been like, okay, well, I mean, not kind of shitting on your degree, but you went to A&M and got a music degree. That's not a very prestigious music program. You potentially could have gone to a different place.
No, but you see, and the way that I look at it now, right, is that if going back to school now would benefit me more than going to school when I was 18.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
And the reason is because from 18 until now, so 24, I just turned 25, so I'm 24.
Yeah, every day, man. Yeah.
I'm an old man. The gray hair is starting to come in, but I could have started my business at 18, worked until I was 24, said, you know what, I want more. And I actually wouldn't go to school for music because everything that I need for music, exactly, I'd get a business.
You know, because you're naturally talented with music.
Right.
You don't have to go and have people tell you what to do because you're naturally talented.
I don't need you to show me. I can learn it by myself.
Just like with you, I mean, honestly, if you're talking about, and I don't know how well versed you were when you were in 8th grade, but if you were talking about how smart you were in 8th grade with math, you could teach yourself everything that you learned in school. So therefore, I would think that you. I mean, granted, it sounds like you got a statistics degree. So I mean, that's something that's benefiting you and helping you. But cool. But there may have been something that maybe you are encountering in your life right now that you're like, dang, I really could use a lot more help with that and education on that.
Relationships.
But I think that's what a lot of people fall into, and I think Sheila is the perfect example because I mean, you are business minded, but you could have gotten a degree in business.
It would help further my development because I could have done music on my own. But I didn't know that while I was doing it. You know,
it was something you were passionate about.
Right.
But it's not necessarily something you need. If I'm messing up this thing, I'm sorry. I'm trying to find this walker.
Yeah. It's real to. I mean, you live and you learn, and I just look at it like, okay, well, with my case, I won't direct them to college, you know, because a lot of people at 18, they don't know necessarily what they want to do and how they want to do it. You have a better understanding of the things that you do and the things that you want.
My kids definitely have either weekly or bi-weekly or like however whatever the frequency is, they're gonna have checkups with dad. You know, we're gonna talk. We're gonna see where your head is, what you want to do, what you've discovered, what you're good at. You know, what you discovered that you don't like, and you know, we're gonna work on your plan. You know,
Right.
Dad's gonna be really involved in what your plan is.
Yeah,
We're putting on
100%.
paper.
But, and I think the flip side of that is going to be, there also has to be they have a lot of control, but not all the control. You know what I mean? I think that's what I'm going to struggle with as a parent is because I'm going to take a very similar approach as to what you talked about, but it's going to be, I think the most difficult part is allowing them to pursue what they want to pursue, but also being an authoritative figure and having that say something, no, this is what you need, I don't want to knock over the camera, this is what you need to do to succeed, even though you think this is what you need to do, to pursue this is what,
Happened.
I got it.
It's all
I was like, I don't want him to do that, so I'm going to move him, and then I moved him straight into the path. All right, this isn't a good idea, huh, Koopy? Let's put you in your bouncer upstairs.
not at all. Coop is my man. That's my model that gets me all the likes. I just push this and it shoots. I don't know how. I know, but I mean, this is not even a trigger either. Yeah, I saw someone holding, and they like to hold them like, they'll hold them like this. You'll see people in movies hold a gun like this, and I'm like, that's how you shoot yourself.
Yeah, just keep your jet right back into you, man.
What all of this stuff, I have no idea. Just kapow.
But I do see it as that's kind of what the kids now are experiencing in Florida with this with the gun violence thing is they may be actually, while a lot of people are discrediting them, they may be actually finding something that they're passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those kids, because of this tragedy, might pursue politics and might actually make a good change. It might be like, you know what, I wanted to go to college and do this, or I didn't know what I was going to do, but now I want to study politics, I want to study the political system, and I want to make a change.
Or they may get some movie roles.
Movie roles.
Man, is that hung up on that conspiracy theory?
But at the same time, I mean, we can't live in retrospect. You know,
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned. I don't live in the past. I'm like, yo, like the things that I've done in the past are in the past.
We're too young to do that,
Right,
man.
and it's all about the future. And so I push forward. I'm like, yo, these are the things that I know that I could have done better. And so when I have my kids, when I see someone in the same predicament as me, and they're willing to listen, because that's all I can. That's all I can do. I feel like that is the greatest influence you can have is on the people around you. So as long as we sat and talked about relationships on our way here to Baytown, and so as long as I am trying my best with my friends and my family, right, to discuss and make myself a better person, listen to your opinion, and think about how it can apply to me, how I can better myself as a person, as an individual, as a business. That's the way I think, tying it back, getting back to the guns, that is all you can do to change people. That's really all you can do. I had a friend, this recently happened. Someone was posting, sad, depressed things on Instagram, Facebook. I'm not sure what platform they were using. And so she told them, she was like, hey, what's your number? Can I give you a call? Just to find out what was going on in their life. They're not even close friends like that. They just happen to go to the same school, right? And so when we talk about mental health, when we talk about, how do you better the world, or how do you change the world, it doesn't happen by you, going to Congress and being like, hey, I need you to repeal the Second Amendment.
Laws won't change our morality.
Well, see, and that's the thing, just like you said, like, I mean, because I've done a similar thing with someone who was on social media kind of saying some, some self-harmful type things. I mean, because some people look at it as, oh, they're just posturing, but I mean, when you're making a threat like that to do bodily harm to yourself, or saying that, oh, I might as well just do bodily harm to myself, I'd take that serious.
Right.
And, anytime you're making that type of threat or you're saying something like that, that's a mental health issue. That's something that's serious. Whether you say, oh, I was just saying that because, no. No.
But
Well, because the thing is, I think about myself, and I'm like, and this may just be because I love myself too much, but I could never imagine being that low. But I've never suffered from depression or anxiety or anything like that. I could never imagine being like, you know what, I really want to take that gun, I want to put it to my head, or I really want to cut my wrist or anything like that.
But you have never been, and this should blow your mind. It's just like this. Remember we talked about this at the gym? We said that some people aren't blessed with just natural athletic talent.
Yeah.
And so you look at me, you look at you, you look at, and you see us in the gym, and you're like, man, those guys are in shape. You know what I mean? We are blessed to have mental health that reflects our physical health.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so we think about ourselves, man, my deadlift, my squat, my curls, my biceps, like they look good because I work on these things. Mental health starts in the home, and if they didn't have the development to have that in place, then they may just be weak mentally, and you can never understand it, because I look at fat people and I think, man, I can never be fat, and I don't plan to get fat. I don't think that it's gonna happen. It's something that I would never think about because so I can't relate. And so someone with a mental health issue, I know now, I can't relate with them. I've met people that have had depression, and I said, you know, I want to help you, but I'm not in a mental, I don't have the mental capacity to help you. You need to go and seek help from someone that understands.
Yeah.
And some people need that.
Well, and the thing is, you're not always going to be able to empathize, but you can try to sympathize.
Right.
And in your sympathy, you must also give your best judgment, like make your best judgment call. I mean, because that's part of your sympathy. If you truly care, you got to have difficult conversations. If it's tough, you know, and it even may offend someone, sometimes you still have to let them know. I mean, people care so much about people getting offended, but in doing that, you're kind of pacifying them. You know, you're like, hey, you know what? I care that you're gonna get offended, so I'm not gonna say it.
Right.
If I care about you, then I don't care that you're offended.
Right.
You know, it doesn't matter to me. Your greater good, and me saying what I feel will help your greater good is more important than whether or not you're mad for a few minutes.
But this goes back to, I think, something that we talked about, whether, you know, we said, are people better on drugs than they are off of them? You know, because some people, they'll tell you, you know, man, I smoked this morning, whether it was a cigarette or marijuana, and they were like, my day was it just helped me have a great day. You know what I mean? And so, isn't there situations where the best thing for these people to do is just click, clack, blow, and just blow their brains out? I'm asking. I'm not suggesting. I'm asking.
Are there situations where suicide is the best answer?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
There's never a situation where suicide is the best answer.
Okay.
Because suicide represents where people have exhausted all options. It represents exhausting all other options and picking the most final absolute option that's saying that, you know, there are no more possibilities.
Right.
I can't do anything else. There's no changes that I can make that would benefit me more than just leaving this earth.
Right.
And that's wrong. It's always wrong. Because there's always changes you can make. There's always things that can be done. Always. There's no situation too
So
great.
you'd say that it's selfish in a sense. What would you?
I would hate to
what
talk down on
characteristics-
people that have experienced people that have committed suicide, but I 100% think suicide is selfish. But I hate to, like you said, I can sympathize, but I can't empathize. I've never been in that place because some people think. I mean, you watch that documentary, and or show 13 Reasons Why on Netflix. I didn't watch it, but
I watched.
did you? Okay, see, so and a lot of people have said that it helped them understand what people go through, and they now can justify people. Okay, see, so I still think it would be 100% selfish, even if you are completely alone in this world, which I find it hard to believe that anybody is 100% completely alone. But if you are completely alone, I still think that committing suicide is selfish.
And I feel as though it's a lack of confidence, a lack of self-confidence. Because
Confidence is built, it's made.
you don't feel as though you have the ability to do anything to fix your situation. You feel as though whatever it is that's affecting you is greater than you, and if you are religious, greater than God. You are submitting to whatever your perils are, and you are submitting that your perils are greater than God. That's in essence what you're saying when you kill yourself.
Let me put this in perspective for you, and this is just my perspective, because I feel like on this show we wanna not just bring true perspective, but also bring the perspective of someone that would argue against us.
Yeah.
So for instance,
Play devil's advocate.
Exactly,
Good.
all the time. And so the way that I see it, if I were to play devil's advocate, right, is I would say, okay, Zach, and Jace, you are built like a Lamborghini. You know what I mean? You're built, Jace. You're like a high-end Acura. Right? A high-end Acura.
I'm not a Lamborghini. I'm not just a high-end.
You're a high-end Acura, right? And I am, an old beat-up Toyota, right? My parts for me are although cheap, last long, right? You break something on a Lamborghini, you might as well just buy another Lamborghini. I'm being real, and so for you, you are more delicate, more fragile. Although you're more, and that's why you see these people like Chester,
Bennington. Yeah, that killed.
They will commit suicide or end up on some drug or do something crazy that you would never expect, right? Simply because their radiator busts. If we're talking about cars,
right.
Your radiator goes out. You're just like, oh my goodness, like how can I live? And me as an old Toyota, I know what a radiator. My radiator fluid is leaking. I'm like, okay, I already know the problem. Like,
right.
Let's just swap this out. Blah 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 blah. Because I know my engine. I know my car, or I know myself if I'm the car. And so in that facet, you have to remember that there are things that can destroy people. There are things that mentally to you would just overlook and toss to the side like it's nothing. You know what I mean? This is like a little 5-pound curl exercise. Like, why am I doing this? This is nothing. I don't even think about this. That seems like 1,000-pound deadlift to someone that has never worked out.
I mean, yeah, that's a great analogy, and I definitely think that it would be extremely hard if, for instance, if my wife and my son died in a car accident, that would be something very hard to get through. But I also have to put in perspective, and once again, this is just me, I guess, being mentally strong, also not having experienced this, but if people were able to run away from plantations as slaves and make it to a place that was safe and get away from that, I should be able to overcome something that's mentally in my head.
Yeah.
But like you said, some people are mentally strong.
But you see, Jason, you have a talent that we kind of talked about. You have reached self-awareness. You can think about your experiences, and your knowledge isn't just knowledge. It's fluid knowledge. You can fast forward, rewind to the future, to the past, to the present, and think, man, if these slaves can do this, right, and persevere, then this is just a mental thing. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you don't play the cop-out card,
right?
Because that to you is not even an option. There's always something to do, because you have been born and bred into that mentality.
Right.
You don't have someone that has broken you down every day from birth until you're 18. You haven't had that. You've had great parents. I've met your parents. I've seen how you treat your son, how you treat your wife, and so I know these things about you. It will come as a surprise if I heard like Jace committed suicide. I'm like, what? Like, that's my workout buddy.
But
like,
sometimes those are the people. Like sometimes it's just like the people that catch you off guard are the ones that.
Right.
I mean, Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Sometimes the people may not have actually killed themselves, but
Oh.
there may have been something else to that.
Yeah, so Tupac's in Trinidad.
Count on Zach to bring in that.
The comic relief.
The third party.
Oh.
The third party the option that you didn't know was there, but you know what? I think that option is viable. I think that's very important in our lives. We always try to say, okay, well, these are your options.
Mhm.
You know, these are the things that you can do. And really that's planning, and that's looking ahead. But sometimes there's an option that you don't see. There's always an option that you don't see. You can do, I thought about this the other day. I was like, I don't have a wife. I don't have kids. I don't have anything tying me down. I can get up and move to Chile. I can go to Alaska. I can go live in Antarctica.
And that's a great thing. To not, I mean, I love my wife and my son, but it is a great thing to have the freedom to be like, you know what, I need to go and experience the world. I want to, like when I was 18, I went to Haiti. I was only supposed to be there for a week. I called home, canceled my flight, ended up staying there for 3 months, and that was a decision I could make because I had supportive parents and I didn't have anything tying me back. Now, obviously, it would be harder, but it was just something that really, I think, changed me and for the better. And if you can experience that, I mean, I'm gonna be sad if you do leave and we can't work out together. But I mean, just to anybody,
Right.
if
But
you have the ability, yeah, you have to. It is brave. I got malaria and typhoid while I was over there. So
Oregon Trail survivor.
it was brutal, man. I didn't get dysentery, so I didn't die. That's why not. But it's just, it's something that I definitely think is, from an American perspective, I mean, because you're from the islands, and I think you understand this, and we talk to it about a lot, but we live in a bubble. And I think that's why it's so hard for a lot of people to, as soon as somebody does start talking about gun control reform or anything like that, they're immediately just like, they're shielded, they don't want to listen to it or anything like that, because we do live in an American bubble. We don't experience things, and when people do talk about, oh yeah, gun control worked in Germany and Australia and da. Well, people have an experience outside of America, and it's hard for them to make those comparisons. Now, I will say, making those comparisons, I have a lot of rebuttal arguments against them.
Yeah,
but
I mean, not to cut you off, but I mean, we all know why we have the right to bear arms anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the fundamental argument for being able to have whatever gun necessary.
Yeah. And we talked about that at the beginning of the video.
I mean, you think that. So everyone knows. I mean, I know that everyone in this room knows. I mean, Puerto Rico got hit by a hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty bad, really bad actually.
Yeah, really bad.
And
I'm pretty sure that, what is it, it's the end of February now, so I think their island finally got 100% power back.
Right.
Because there was like 10% of the island.
And it's been about, it happened in September.
Yeah.
Like, and so it's like, man, like it's been it's September, October, November, somewhere around there. But I had a friend that her family was in Puerto Rico, and she was going down to Puerto Rico, and it just blew my mind. And someone said, like, oh, isn't that, like Mexico, like South America?
People don't know. Man.
Yeah, they people do, and I'm thinking in my head, man, did you even know that Puerto Rico is U.S.?
Well, do you remember the video where people in South America don't have maps? And sometimes like the such as in the South Africa,
the beauty queen.
Yeah.
Where was she from?
She was from South Carolina.
South Carolina.
He
Yeah.
said people they don't have maps, and
Such as
people in the in the Asian countries like such as in South Africa.
Bro.
It's like,
But that's the thing, is you can tell a lot of people, and I think the good thing about, which speaking of, didn't you just see Black Panther last night?
I did
He
not.
did not.
You
I
didn't
told
see
you that
it?
he was. No, we're not gonna talk about that because that leads back to relationships.
I want to go,
He's
but
skipping. He's skipping.
I think Black Panther has also opened a lot of people's eyes to, and not just the Black community, because I think that the African American community has always kind of been in tune, but there are a lot of people that don't know. But I think you could walk to a bunch of people on the street and just be like, hey, we're South Africa. And they're going to think, oh, the southern part of the continent, Africa. They're not going to think, oh yeah, the country South Africa, where 40% of the people that live there are white.
People don't know that Africa has countries. Like, and people don't look at it as a continent. Generally speaking, geography. I mean, for Americans suck at geography. That's why they did Jimmy Kimmel special when he's asking people about Wakanda and the crisis in Wakanda. Like come on,
I didn't see that, but
this is fictional.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, come on. Like,
But you see, to me, Zach, and I'm gonna be real with you, I did not enjoy like the, how do I put it? It's like the fake hype. Like, how you gonna get hype about Africa now that there's a movie that creates a country that is, you know, people are like, everyone is like, oh, Wakanda this, Wakanda that. And I'm just like, man, like, look, let me tell you something. I'm from the French Caribbean. Like, that's how I rep my island all the time. You know, like, Saint Martin this, Saint Martin that. You know, and you are over here like, you wasn't even about Africa like that, you know, until you realize it's Black history.
But the thing is, you can't knock people. And one thing I learned is you can't knock people for trying whatever wakes them up and makes them try, whether it's a movie, whether it's a video game, a postcard, a stamp, whatever it is that makes people aware. I mean, I can't judge them for that. Just because, you know, I've been aware.
You think that it's awareness or is it negligence?
I feel like it's the foundations of awareness. It's not quite awareness yet, but it's the basis. It, you know, kind of gives people a curiosity.
The media wasn't telling them to care about Africa until recently. I think that's one of the biggest things. I'm gonna grab that.
So it may stem a curiosity or like breed people to want to learn more.
Right.
And the fact that at first, you know, what did people care about? Yeah, you didn't care about anything that really.
I haven't seen the movie, but I've heard that there's a lot of undertones that are charged in a racial dynamic that are good.
I haven't seen it either.
And so, because I was talking to my barber about it, and he said, you know, yeah, there's a lot of there's charged undertones that are there, and if you catch them, then you're gonna realize that. And to me, Zach, I'm like, listen, I live this. I've been this skin color for how long? How can I not know these dynamics?
I mean, but you can make the same argument for a lot of things, for people to be ignorant of a lot of things. Like, I mean, ignorance is
But
bliss.
here's the thing, right? There is a Black Panther movie, right? And so it charges Black people to remember their ancestry, their history, right? Are you telling me that if someone makes a KKK movie and just portray these people as, I mean, and I hate to say it, but these people weren't bad people. They just had one thing that they were just stuck up on, right? And they were just like, you know,
I would argue that they were bad people.
Yeah, but I mean, you can argue that there used to be laws where if you stole something, you got your hand chopped off. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Are you gonna say that the person chopping the hands off was wrong? Like, no, that's just how society was back then. So we can say that's how society was, right? Where racially charged. So I make a KKK movie. Are you telling me that the white people that watch this movie are gonna be like, oh my goodness, like my ancestry is speaking to me. They're reminding me of all the qualities that we had, and we should in turn bring those. You see what I'm saying?
No, I think it depends because, like, okay, so
I'm equating Black Panther to KKK, and I'm saying, okay, well, why are you being empowered?
Well, the Black Panther movie, I think it connects with people because it's a lost history. Like right now, I mean, like me being a Black American, I can't trace my lineage past my grandmother and great grandmother. I can't go back farther than that.
Right.
Like I don't know. I have no idea. You know, even if I went on Ancestry.com, they don't know.
Right.
You know, there are no real records. I mean, somebody might have a sheet of paper in some lockbox in some random bank in Georgia or something. You know, but do I have time to go to all the banks in Georgia or something and look through the lockboxes? Oh, this deed from 1876 when my great something was sold. Mm-hmm. Like you don't have that. You don't have the luxury to do that.
Right.
So a lot of people just operate. A lot of Black people operate based off of nonsense and bullshit. Like, I mean, and like right now, Black people have been thriving based on bullshit. I mean, it's like, hey, let's watch rap videos, let's throw money away, let's drink, let's party, let's do this bullshit, and because we don't. I mean, not necessarily this being the reason that we don't know anything, but I mean, let's just be pacified in the moment.
Well, what it is it's an urge to develop a culture for a culture that was taken away.
Yeah. Exactly, and that's what it is. And that culture has been, I mean, either developed or manufactured or a combination of both. And now, you know, the people with this movie, even though it's a fictional place, they're like, hey, I have something to connect to. Because, I mean, I can't connect to really anything else.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and even though they could have connected to Africa earlier.
So here's my thing, Zach. But it's fiction.
It is
Right, but so when it first came out as a comic book, it was during a time of a great racial strife, during the civil rights movement right thereafter. And it served a purpose.
Right.
It served a purpose to empower,
Right.
and it served a purpose to show self-worth, especially during a time where African Americans were fighting for that self-worth. Exactly. Do you not see that we have a big racial divide right now perpetuated by the media, and this is playing right into it?
Not just the media, basically the politics as well. Like if you're white, then you're considered to be conservative, and if you're black, you're considered to. I feel like that's
in the South. That's in the South.
That's not.
But I mean, we're in Texas right now. Like, that's obvious.
But if this is the other thing too is, and people make fun of this all the time, is they say not all Trump supporters are racist, but all racists are Trump supporters. So that's what is kind of getting perpetuated in the politics of it as well. But I think. And I want to see the movie. I think it's going to be a great movie. I think it's going to be a great film. I love
Marvel.
I love Michael B. Jordan. I love, a lot of the actors that are in there. It's just, I think that this movie came at this time to help empower African Americans, but they're still using it as a form of control. They're empowering them to create a greater divide between them and white. Because have you seen the white outrage of people? It just blows my mind that people are sharing shit that says.
Beat up outside.
But just that says, oh, why's he gotta be Black Panther? Why can't he just be Panther? And I'm like, are we really gonna get hung up on? Yes, there are people that are saying, and I'm just like, really? That's the superhero. That's how it was written.
I saw people posting pictures I got beat up by a group of black teens outside the theater. It's a woman posting pictures.
You see, I guess I see it from since I'm black. I've always had my eyes on black people. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is I'm saying how do we portray ourselves? Because that's what I'm worried about. Because as a black man, I don't want the stereotype of black people to come falling on. I hope that one day I can be I can be the stereotypical black man, and someone not be like, okay, shit, there's a rap song on, go dance. You see what I'm saying?
You could be the stereotypical black man, and the stereotypical black man could be somebody that's a successful business owner.
Right. But the thing is, I think this goes back to caring what people think, though. I mean, because I have a master's degree in statistics, but I walk into places and people still look at me sometimes I'll come in dressed down. People think, look at me, I'm going to steal something or something like that. It's gonna happen.
You do look homeless. Low key,
No, man, he's used to it. Just like
No, but James Harden shit. Okay.
But
he had it before James Harden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was way down here at one point. But no, it's gonna happen. And if you place if you place any value on people's perception, then
But society has a standard.
Yeah, society definitely has a standard. That's why we say that, or that's why you're a statistics guy. What's the statistics of black Americans that vote Democrat?
It's a whole lot.
Exactly. I don't know the exact, but it is. It's that black Americans are more likely to vote Democrat regardless of policy issues. And this was before Barack Obama.
Because it comes from, and I think that's a result of the vast majority of people in general in the United States being uninformed. Just completely uninformed.
Yeah.
It's
they don't even know that Wakanda's fake.
But you know how hard it is to actually be informed about politics?
But the thing is, I would, even Democrat, Republican, whatever, I would say that over 80% of voters, probably over 85, don't know shit because don't know any of
They go and they click. They either vote all Republican or all Democrat. Nobody goes in there and they're like, okay, I want a Democratic president. I want a Republican senator.
It's Tinder. It is Tinder. You just swipe because you see something that attracts you and you're like, yeah, I want that. And boom. It's just so when you match, you're just like, okay, well, meet you here, blah, 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 blah. What they do for a living doesn't matter. How far they are doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's just
it's so stupid. Nobody knows anything.
It's foolish.
I feel like you should be required to like submit
No,
to
no,
like some
see,
sort of it's like voting rights.
I was about to say that.
It goes back to voting rights, but it's like it's still what you should show
You're
that
right, Zach.
you should show that you know something in regards to
He's
like
black, okay?
Right. Well, but that's the thing is the fact that people are uneducated are the reason. And I'm not saying Obama couldn't have gotten elected, but he's the reason that it's the reason that Obama got elected. It's the reason that Trump got elected. We had black people come out in droves to vote for Obama that had not previously voted, and then we had those backwoods guys come out and vote for Trump. But what was crazy was that those were all the people that were at the rallies that tried to act like they were the most involved and the most politically, like, they knew. But when they went and interviewed people, you could obviously tell they knew nothing. They were just voting for him because he was white and because he had kind of a white nationalist little get up going for a little bit. And that's kind of what their backwoods self-identified with.
I mean, it's so hard to talk about racial dynamics because it is such a conundrum. It's just like, what do we do that can possibly mend something that has been broken? It's like, and we put it back together, we glue it back together, then someone breaks it, and then it's in even more pieces, and then we glue it back together and we break it, and then someone would say something like, okay, well, you know what, we should just live separately, because it's like a relationship that you keep going back to. You break up, keep going back to, you break up, you keep going back to, and it's like, okay, well, when is this cycle?
And right now we're not talking about guns at all.
I feel like it has a lot to do with guns.
It's more around policy.
Everything in America runs together.
Well, what it is, and what I think we will eventually have to do is we have to fix the corporate versus workers first. We have to have unions that will band workers of all race, color, creed together for a common good, and then they will support a political party that is good for the people. Because right now, if your union doesn't, because it goes back to the early 1800s, okay? In the early 1800s, we had the elitists separate the minorities and late 1800s, sorry, the minorities and the white people that were on the same playing field as far as they worked in factories, that made the same wage, they did this, that, the other, and they separated them by saying, oh, you're white and I'm white, even though I have a bunch of money and you're living in poverty, we have more in common than you and the guy that lived next door to each other,
of course.
And you're black and you're white. And that's really, I'm not going to say that's where it started, but that's still perpetuated today.
But if I can do that and make money from it, why would I not? I'm saying
because you gotta have a moral conscience.
But as a black person, I can sit back and think, oh my goodness, like if I can do that to a group of people, if I can convince you somehow, Zach, to just like go against black people that are uneducated, because you have more in common with me as, you know, if I am a white rich man, I say, forget about those black people. Like, you don't need to be associated with them. You can be associated with me. You can associate yourself with me. If I can convince you of that, then and make money from all of the people that I have convinced, why would I not?
Well, if you asking me this, one narrative that I could push and I could support the narrative that the history of the world is nothing but smarter people taking advantage of less smart people. That's the history of the world.
Well, that could also be, and I mean, I'm a religious person, that could also be religion.
Yeah.
Which plays big into the history too, is that there are people that, I mean,
are more intelligent.
This is the ridiculous part. A 14-year-old boy was able to convince a group of people to become Mormon because there were some golden tablets that were buried underneath that only he could read and the angels took up afterwards. And Mormon is still a very thriving religion, especially in, Utah. So it's just the fact that people can do that and that people are so easily swayed
The history of the world
is what is going to be the detriment to society, or it still has been.
But that's the thing, right? But I feel like the dynamics have shifted a little bit. Now it's not only smart people taking advantage of dumb people. For instance, I feel like the smartness that doesn't matter anymore. What matters now is, do you have the money and the power? You have the finances, because I feel like that has more to do now with our modern society.
If you're smart enough, you can make it.
Right. My thing is, if you can convince enough people about to fall in line with your narrative, you will be successful as a politician or whatever, a public figure. Now the thing is, and I was talking to a buddy of mine about this, is that where we're different now than we were 300-400 years ago is natural selection is pretty much completely gone.
Yeah.
So now you are getting more and more, because, I mean, let's be honest, who procreates more, dumb people or smart people? I mean, seriously, I don't know what the statistic is. I think I'm going to find it after this, but I will be willing to put money on that. It is less intelligent people, less informed, lower IQ people have more children. That is breeding stupidity and giving us like droves and droves of numbers that are easily persuaded by the media. That are easily, and the thing is, if you have 330 million people and you have 50 million that are very intelligent and can see into what the government's doing with money, with all this stuff, like can understand it. They still can't do shit because there's 300,000 or 300 million other people that fall in line with the media. Right. You know, and granted, it's not that big of a split, but there are just so many people.
I think it is. I think it is.
You think it's probably bigger?
Yeah. But I mean that's a point that is extremely valid. But you can. The thing is, you can have money and still be dumb.
Dude, of course. But look at this. In the 80s, people made millions of dollars selling pet rocks. This happened.
Yeah.
This happened.
Yeah.
Right now, there's a guy that he has something called the Gaze. I can't remember what his name is. It's like he has some sort of one word name. And he has the Gaze. He has these seminars where people pay all this money to get healed by him gazing at them. And this happens.
What?
This is the world that we live in. People would buy rocks for, I don't know, $19.95 or whatever as their pet, a rock. And companies make millions of dollars doing this. There's psychics still exist.
Yeah.
You can still go in corners and people pay to go to a psychic to tell them that they know their future. And people believe this. These people aren't smart.
If
you believe that some lady in her office can tell you what's going to happen in the future? Come on.
If you control
Might as well just watch The Simpsons. It's a better.
Yeah, I was about to say, watch The Simpsons. Control the mind and the power is yours. The wealth is yours. The fame is yours. I feel like if you can, and this goes back to the 48 laws of power. If you control people, things, power, wealth, if you have control of these things, that makes you want to do.
Listen, in your future, listen, I see opportunity. I see, wait. I see a woman. Listen. She's a pretty woman. She has hair. No.
That'll be $20.
If you follow the 48 laws of power, right? A book written about, being how to create your own success, forge your own path, right? At the end of the day, if you follow those things, it makes you an immoral person. And those are the people that follow the 48 laws are the people that are in power. And
then we're back to our argument, which is, like you said, if somebody's going to offer me money to do this, to turn against my race, my culture, whatever, why would I not do it if it's this simple? And it's because you have a moral conscience. Yeah. You have a moral conscience. That's what it is. And that's
but
what
you may not know that down the line, this is what's going to happen.
But you have to think about that, and that's what. And it comes back to these guns. Is for everyone in this nation to own these and know how to operate these and everything like that, you have to have a moral conscience to be able to own this. Because right now, if I wanted to throw this bitch together and put that in there and shoot both of y'all, I could.
That's right.
But or you could take it and do the same thing, or you could take it and do the same thing. But we all have a moral conscience. We have a respect for life and things like that. But there are people in this country that don't, and that's really what it boils down to. And honestly, a lot of the people that are in power are the ones that are lacking moral conscience.
Right.
And yes, you have the.
But how do you start? So I feel like we are sharpened, right? But I feel like if we took a political route, by the time we get to the point where we can make a difference, we're dull. We're tied down by those corporations that have wormed their way. Because if I am trying to break you down,
Bernie
if I am
Sanders.
trying to exactly, if I'm trying to be genuine and your focus, as much as I'm trying to be genuine, your focus is to just grind me. Eventually, I feel like if you're one person going against a corporation, the probability of success, they have people that can just switch.
Well, that's what Bernie Sanders was trying to do. He publicly funded his campaign. He didn't take money from corporations. He usually is. He didn't do a lot of the things that a regular politician would be. He got grinded. He lost. He lost to fucking Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
We came, we saw, he died.
Yeah, like that just still befuddles me that if Bernie Sanders had been running against Donald Trump, Bernie Sanders would have won. I don't care if you're Democratic, Republican, whatever, you see that, he would have won. Because the thing is, you would have been able to, the media would have been able to be like, look, Bernie Sanders is for all these social programs, he's for the people, this, that, and the other. Oh, Donald Trump's talking about beating the shit out of people in his rally.
Well, Donald was smart enough to capitalize off of the fact that Hillary Clinton railroaded Bernie Sanders. And
Exactly.
he used that, to his advantage.
Exactly.
And it worked.
Yes. But also, I think Hillary didn't really, her whole campaign was, I don't need to campaign for votes, I just need to make sure that
It was all
I look better
anti-Hillary.
than, yeah, exactly.
There's no pro-Hillary. There's no reason. She never said why we should vote for her.
Exactly.
It was just why we shouldn't vote for Donald.
Exactly.
It's like, yeah, but what about you though? What are you gonna do?
And if Bernie Sanders can do exactly what he did this last primary, but run as an independent or libertarian, third party, green party, whatever, run something, don't run Democratic, don't run Republican, if we can get a shift, and I mean, I don't agree with all his policies, I really don't, but I think we need somebody to run. I mean, I would have voted for Jill Stein. I voted for Gary Johnson.
Unfortunately, no one else is going to though.
Exactly.
You could, but nobody else will.
I know, but that's
the sad part about it.
But that's the thing, it's a two-party system, they're in bed together, and they're bought out by corporations. So it doesn't matter who you're having in the White House, it's just who are you gonna listen to talk when CNN or Fox has a breaking news thing, who you listen to when they talk. You listen to Obama, you listen to Bush, you listen to Trump, who are you listening to? That's all that matters, because when it comes down to it, money talks. Which means we need to destroy money in our society, but we can't do it. It's not gonna happen. We're gonna have to go fallout. That's what's gonna have to happen. Literally, is you're gonna have some sort of, I hate to say nuclear fallout, but you're gonna have some sort of fallout
To restart
where
civilization.
where society has a downfall, a Y2K, something.
Y2K.
I'm serious, to where the infrastructure is completely broken because the elite are going to continue to use money to subdue the 99%, and we're going to continue to fall into it. Because the thing is, even if all of us were like, all right, we're going to get rid of money, we're going to do this, we're going to try this program, we're all going to help each other out, I still can't go buy a loaf of bread if I don't have any money. I can make bread, but oh wait, I need wheat, yeah, it's like, okay, I can make bread, well I need meat, or wheat, and I need yeast, and I need this, that, and the other. Okay, well I need to eat meat, well I gotta get some cows in my backyard, like there's so much. Yeah, Cooper.
Even in a system of trade and barter, like whoever supplies the farming and the food processing, they would need everyone would need to trade with them.
Yeah.
So their medium of exchange rate would have to be really odd. It would have to be a really odd medium of exchange rate with them because everybody has to go to them.
Right.
But the other services you could work things out. Like I get my service, you get your service. We could work out stuff. But when you're working with the food guys, I mean, he knows he's necessary, so I mean, he can't be too high. But he also has to get his value for his service.
That's why I mean, and especially when you talk about the farms and just using a cow as an example, that's the Marxist theory. You have 3 cows. Well, instead of you having 3 cows and your neighbor having none, now you and your neighbor both have 3 cows. That's really what it's going to take to look like that. But I just don't see in today's society ever getting there. I don't see
think it's
anybody.
possible.
I don't see anybody that has that much power giving it up to better society. I just don't. I don't see the CEO of Amazon or Elon Musk or anybody giving up their wealth they may donate to charity, they may do this, but I do not see him being like, you know what, I'm not even gonna drive a Tesla because it's too expensive. Even though I own the freaking company, I'm gonna drive a $16,000 Toyota, and then I'm going to live in a $150,000 house, and I'm gonna give everything else away, or I'm gonna provide my services for free, or I'm gonna do that's never gonna happen. And I hate to say that because, or even like propose that idea because I hate the idea of what people think socialism is, because the parents of Venezuela and all of that and corruptness. But that's the thing is, if we want to do something that is close to democratic socialism, we will have to drain the swamp, which is what we thought we were doing now, right? But
yeah. So there you have it, folks. We didn't introduce ourselves. I'm Michelle. This is Zach. This is our guest, Jace. We hope to have him back on the show. We want to hear your comments. Comment below. Let us know what you think, whether you agree, disagree. We're here for you. Let us know any topics you want us to dive deeper into. This is Trollproof, and we out here.